Welcome back to the BDSM horror spin-off series where we're talking about the Friday the 13th films. This is the third video in a three-part series.
Every Friday the 13th movie.
Every single one of them. We've talked about the first 8 in our previous videos, so go watch those if you haven't yet. And we're here today to talk about the last 4.
Yeah, we review, rate, talk in detail about each one of them, and this is it. This is the last one.
This is the last video.
We're finally done.
We're finally done. I'm sick of Jason.
Me too.
Ready to be done. As you can see, it's now the early 2000s / the 90s.
Oh yeah. We're talking fruit roll-ups. We're talking razor scooters.
Exactly.
We're talking Blink 182.
We are.
Cribs.
Cribs.
Pimp My Ride.
Pimp My Ride. Oh boy. VH1. We've
Tamagotchi.
got Tamagotchi. Yeah, remind me to check on my Tamagotchi after this.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh boy. About to go play some of that. Bon Jovi has turned into the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes.
And my Sega has turned into a GameCube because it is the 2000s, and that's why we look like this. So please enjoy our discussion on the last 4 Friday the 13th movies. So yeah, here we are. Our first film here is Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, released in 1993.
Oh, the full name, huh?
Yes. This is the second final film in the franchise. After the final chapter.
Yeah.
So after Jason Takes Manhattan was a box office bomb, can't imagine why, they sold the rights to Jason to New Line Cinema, but not the rights to Friday the 13th, so they couldn't call the movie Friday the 13th.
Yeah, which is, things start to get really, if things weren't off the rails already,
Yeah.
things are getting weird,
Things
both
get
in the
real
movies
weird.
and outside the movies, like production and like business-wise of this behemoth of a franchise.
Yeah. So New Line, they bought Jason so they could make Freddy vs. Jason, but they kept like dragging their feet for various reasons. Wes Craven wanted to make New Nightmares, so they put a pause on Freddy vs. Jason, and then they made this instead. This is generally regarded as one of the worst films in the franchise.
Yeah.
What do you think of this movie?
I agree.
Okay.
But do we want to give a quick synopsis of like just what went down in this movie? Because if you haven't been able to tell yet, there's not a lot of plot to these stupid movies.
This one has some plot. This one's very weird.
It has a plot, but it like this is the first time where they're like, oh, we're like adding shit. Like
Yeah,
we're making
they're
more
building
stuff up.
lore.
Building lore. It took them 9 movies, but
They're like, maybe we'll try to explain some of this.
yeah.
I watched an interview with the director, Adam Marcus, who seems like an awesome guy. He was like a real, just like fucking nerd guy. A lot of these guys, you watch the interviews and they're like some sleazy guy, like, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I could get a tits in the shot there.
The porno director.
Yeah, exactly. But this guy was like a just a real nerd. He was like 23 when he made this movie.
Wow.
And he was a fan of the movies, and he wanted to try to
Make them better.
make it make sense. Somehow tie them all together in a way that makes sense.
I feel for him already.
Yeah. So
He
it's
said
a
it's
noble
regarded as
effort.
the worst one.
So also, I didn't mind this movie. I used to
Really?
hate it.
Wow,
For
okay.
some reason, I liked it a lot on this last rewatch. So yeah, let's give a brief plot synopsis. This one here
Sure.
that I printed off of Wikipedia It
The
says,
five folks at Wikipedia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're making money off of, well, we're not making money, but,
Yeah.
you know. So it says, years after his supposed demise in Manhattan, Jason Voorhees has been inexplicably resurrected. So they're not even bothering with a way he came back. They're just like, there he is again.
Yeah, after the ending of Manhattan, we talked about it, but
Yeah.
it was so weird.
Yeah, where can you possibly go from there? You just have to
He
ignore it.
died again?
I mean, yeah, he
But he dies all the
turned
time,
into
I
a
guess.
little boy. And he said, Mommy.
Uh-huh.
So,
And then the sewer sludge took him away.
yeah.
And they just let's pretend that didn't happen.
Pretend that didn't happen, which is a good idea. So I really like the opening scene from this movie. I don't know. Even when I hated this movie, I can't deny this opening scene is pretty cool. It starts with a woman. She goes into a cabin in the woods by herself.
Okay, I know which one we're talking about.
And it's like very cliche. It's like we've seen this all before. She starts undressing. She gets in the shower.
It's very early on.
Yes, first scene. And then Jason shows up and chases her out of the cabin. She starts running away, but then it turns out she was actually an FBI agent, and this was an undercover operation. A bunch of dudes with guns, like special forces guys, show up and just start blasting Jason to hell. It's awesome.
Literally.
They're
fucking like grenades.
Yeah, grenades, a rocket launcher. They're just
It took 180 deaths, but it seems like someone finally did something
finally
about
got
it.
Well, also I should say Jason doesn't actually go to hell in this movie. That was a big reason why I hated this when I first saw it. I imagined him in hell fighting demons with his machete the whole movie.
The name is very misleading.
Yeah.
But let's get to that part.
Okay. So he's dead, essentially. His body's exploded. And then we cut to the coroner's office, and the coroner's going over his remains. And then he just starts
He's got a beating heart still.
Yeah, Jason's heart is still beating.
Everything else was destroyed about him, with him, except his beating heart.
And his head.
Oh, and his head.
His head's still there. Did he play with it at some point? Anyway, so the coroner starts getting real weird, and then starts getting all sweaty, and then he bites into the heart. He starts eating it.
He's staring at the heart and sweating, and he's the only person in the room. He's just it looks like he's getting hypnotized by the heart. And then he eats it.
Just goes for it.
Yeah.
And then some magic.
And then
beams start shooting
very late 90s technology of visual effects of orange beams are just flying everywhere and going inside of him.
And if you're watching this movie for the first time, I had no idea what that could have possibly been. There's been some supernatural stuff in these movies, but not magic like this.
Yeah, and the supernatural stuff is him being resurrected
Exactly.
for the most part, or that shrine that he has to.
Yeah, there's
his
a
mom.
shrine to the mom. There's a telekinetic.
It's not
girl
over the
that-
top.
It's not like this.
Oh, the telekinesis.
But
Yeah,
even
forget
that, yeah. So, and then it turns out, basically, I don't know if it's quite revealed in this way, but I'll tell you. He's been possessed by the soul or the spirit of Jason, and he starts walking around and killing people as Jason.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a normal guy, but he's Jason. And then that's when we meet Creighton Duke, the bounty hunter who hates Jason.
He hates Jason, and he also knows everything about Jason.
Mm-hmm. He's been hunting him. I don't know, for a while. He was never mentioned in the previous.
I guess he's been
films,
hunting him since part 2.
Yeah.
But we've never heard of him.
So, and he's kind of a creep too. He's a little.
He's kind of an asshole.
He's an asshole too. I like the scene where he breaks the guy's fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But
Dick. And I was
hilarious.
thinking about the diner part where he's just a dick to the sheriff.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
sheriff's just getting in there to get some coffee. He just calls him out. Embarrasses in front of the town.
Yeah. Yeah. So we go to this diner. We meet a bunch of people at the diner. It's a surprising amount of characters in this movie.
Awful acting.
Yeah, mostly awful acting. There's the woman who owns the diner who's really mean.
Mm-hmm.
There's the news anchor, who like he offered, I forget what it was. He offered Creighton Duke like a $10 million reward or something for some reason.
I am prepared to offer Creighton Duke his sum of $500,000, payable only after he provides American Case File and the American people with incontrovertible proof of Jason's existence, and then puts an end to him for all time.
Anyway, he's the news anchor that introduces Creighton Duke, and he's also in a relationship with a woman who's a waitress at the diner.
Correct.
Who has a baby that's not his baby.
Correct.
And then in the next scene, we meet the father of that baby, whose name is Steven. And he's like, I couldn't tell how old this character was supposed to be, because he's wearing like a Letterman jacket, but he's also like 38. But apparently he's supposed to be an adult. I don't know why he's still wearing his Letterman jacket, because he's lame. Also, apparently that character was supposed to be Tommy Jarvis, but they didn't have the rights to Tommy Jarvis.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
that guy, the two dudes you just mentioned, one of them is the news anchor and the dad, the real dad?
No, Steven is the real dad, but the news anchor is the
Steven
boyfriend.
is the real dad, and he doesn't have a relationship with...
That's how it seems, yeah.
Got it.
He doesn't really talk to them.
Got it.
And I wasn't even sure if he knew he had a baby. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of relationships. This guy's really
And
trying.
while this stuff is going on, Jason, the doctor
still
dude
the
is
coroner, yeah.
killing people.
He's killing people.
While this is going on, Jason's on a killing spree, and then we're learning more about these three characters that he just mentioned.
Yeah.
The diner, the mom at the diner, and the two other people.
There's Steven, Jessica, and the news anchor Robert Campbell.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, do we want to just say the importance of the mom?
Well, it turns out the mom, and I couldn't figure out exactly how, but she's related to Jason in some way.
There's like one line towards the end of like, that's Jason's mom's sister's daughter.
They don't say, yeah, okay, maybe it was
Jason bloodline.
Yeah, she's related to Jason.
Cousin or half sister.
I assume something like that, loosely related.
Mm-hmm.
But she's related enough for Creighton Duke to be worried about her because Jason apparently needs the body of a Voorhees to rebirth himself as Jason.
Sure. So Jason is he's been switching bodies. I think he does it 2 or 3 times.
Well, at one point he switches into Robert Campbell's body, the news anchor, but yeah,
he does it to the sheriff.
Also. Oh yeah, he does it to the sheriff first.
And can we just start getting into the nitty gritty of the movie now? So like he gets it into the body of the sheriff. And as the sheriff, or the coroner, I don't remember who it was, but like the new body he wants, he's got like the other dude like strapped and tied up to like
that weird like homoerotic scene where he's like shaving him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell was that about? It would make sense if it was part of a ritual to like do the body transfer.
Yeah.
But we've already seen 2 examples of him
just
not
do it whenever
needing to do that.
Yeah.
It's very strange and it seems very out of place. Like he's either about to have a really good time with this guy or torture him. Like it's really weird.
It's strange. This is why I like this movie though, is because there's just a lot of weird shit that you don't see in a lot of these movies. Yeah, he's and in that scene we're at the old Voorhees family home, where one Voorhees is spelled wrong on the sign out front, but also, again, never mentioned in the previous films. Jason lived in a shack in the woods in part 2.
Yeah, now we're at their home, his childhood home.
It's their family home.
Yeah. At Crystal Lake, we should be.
Yeah, it's at Crystal Lake. And so Robert Campbell brings the sheriff in Jason in the sheriff's body goes and kills Jessica, the mom of the baby, right? No. She kills the other waitress at the diner.
Mm-hmm.
And Steven shows up at her house and she's already dead, and he's like, oh no. And then the cops show up and arrest Steven, because they think he's killed her, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's like the big thing. Her mom or something, right? Like they think that he's killed her mom.
Yeah. And then the boyfriend, Robert Campbell, it turns out he dragged the mom's body, I think it was the mom's body, over to the Voorhees house.
Yes, to make a fluff piece.
To discover it on camera.
Yeah.
And it turns out this guy's a piece of shit.
He really, really sucks.
But then it doesn't matter because Jason's there and takes over his body. And this is the awesome scene where the sheriff's body starts melting on the ground.
Oh, do I remember that?
His jaw comes off and he's like,
oh, that did look cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
The kills in this movie are great. After the last 2 or 3 movies had super neutered kills, these are especially in the unrated version, there's that one where the two are having sex in the tent and he stabs the pole through the girl's torso and that's an all-timer right there. Yeah. Great kills in this. Grabs Campbell's body.
Oh, and then just a little thing. It's funny anytime he takes over the one thing I dislike. The one thing. There are many things I dislike, but one of the main things I didn't really like about this movie is that Jason isn't in it as much.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
just my thing.
No, completely.
The kills are very cool, but it's like some random dude that we think that we know is Jason. And it is cool anytime there's a reflection of the host, you see Jason in his fullness.
They look at the mirror and it's Jason.
And it's Jason, yeah. It's like the reverse vampire thing, but you see Jason with the hockey mask and everything.
And Jason does look super cool in this movie.
Is this the one where he's got the hair that's kind of sticking?
Little scraggly. It's that
It looks
one.
like his brain is...
His lumpy head.
His head is way too big for that mask.
His mask is fusing onto his face.
Yeah.
It's pretty
looks
cool.
really gross.
It's gross, but it's awesome. Oh, something also really this movie is very clearly shot in LA. And you can tell there are shots of them just walking by the LA River.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's clear it's supposed to be small town on the East Coast, but it's clearly just LA.
I feel silly, I couldn't tell. It all looked pretty cheap to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The town, or maybe specifically just that diner, are really embracing the murders of a serial killer and making deals out of it and
Which
stuff.
is cool.
It is cool.
It's another attempt at world building.
They're making a cheeseburger and they want the patties to look like Jason, even though you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to remove the bun and all the things.
I assume they serve an open face and then you put it together.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And she mentions and we get a whole nother burger patty out of this.
Yeah, 3 of them.
Yeah.
You get the patty.
Steve is in jail, and he knows that Robert Campbell is possessed by Jason.
Correct.
So
he's in jail with the bounty hunter.
With Duke, Creighton Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke. And so he starts asking the Duke for information, and he's like, well, I'll give you information if you let me break your fingers.
Yeah, he's a real dick about it.
Just for no reason.
Yeah, he's like, I'll tell you everything you need to know, but I want something in return.
He doesn't want money.
No.
He just wants to break his
He
fingers.
says, give me your hand. And the other guy's like, okay. But yeah, the bounty hunter knows everything. He knows about Jason's soul transfer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is how we're getting our information.
Yeah, through this guy.
The exposition or whatever, like that. Jason needs a permanent host because the current hosts he have aren't enough.
He needs to be reborn in his own body, and he
Correct.
can only be reborn through another Voorhees.
Correct. And conveniently enough, that's that family, the mom, Jessica. So then we go, let's just jump to the house.
Yeah, we go to the house. Steve breaks out of jail, and he takes Jessica to the house with him. And okay, first another thing I want to mention: the Necronomicon in the house.
Oh yeah, what? I was like, That's very cool.
Yeah.
Do they have the rights? Does it matter? Who
So
cares?
I watched
It was
an interview with this director. They did not have the rights, but that prop was actually the real prop from Army of Darkness that they were shooting at the same time.
Wow.
That Sam Raimi gave to them for this movie. And so according to the interview I watched with this director, his lore is essentially that Mrs. Voorhees, sometime around the time of the first movie, found the Necronomicon and used it to bring Jason back to life. This is my interpretation of this guy's insane headcanon. She used the Necronomicon to revive him, and that's why he came back as a little boy in the lake, and then very quickly after that grew up. Like he was revived from the lake.
Sure.
So he was always
was really
a supernatural creature. But it's just a fun reference. And so Jason starts trying to put his soul into Jessica's body, right? Oh no, this is when the slug comes out of the guy's mouth. The evil slug that is Jason. Here's an image of Jason. It's not what you'd expect. It's an evil puppet slug, and it starts running around the house trying to get in her vagina.
I don't remember that.
And then she falls over and it runs up her skirt.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
Yeah, it's very weird, this movie.
What happens after that?
Then he's reborn in his hockey mask body.
I thought that he got into the corpse of the mom, not Jessica.
Oh, maybe you're right. I can't remember. I know it's a waitress, but they're both waitresses.
I thought that like the corpse that the news dude brought in,
Oh, I think you're
like
right.
was thrown in the basement somewhere, and then like maybe it is the slugger. Like Jason gets into that dead body already, so we still have our main character Jessica.
Jessica's still alive.
We still have the baby.
Uh-huh.
We still have our main characters, but we were able to just bring Jason back.
Oh, because
And now-
Jessica's her mom, so she's also a Voorhees. Oh, and that's when Steve says, you said it had to be a Voorhees body, but not a living Voorhees body. That's
Correct.
right, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then we finally get Jason with like 10 minutes left of the
Yeah.
movie.
And then I think someone throws Jessica a magical dagger that turns into a sword.
Oh yeah, and then there's a magical dagger that can permanently kill Jason.
Right, permanently.
Mm-hmm. And of course the bounty hunter knows all this.
Yeah, but then he gets killed. Creighton Duke gets killed.
How does he get killed again?
I don't remember. And then Muppet hands come out of the ground and start harassing Jason, and then he has a fight with Steve.
He gets stabbed, and then
Yeah.
like you're right, he gets like dragged into the ground.
with like dark crystal like Muppet hands.
Uh-huh.
And then he fights off those hands, but he's weakened, and then a beam shoots up into the sky, and I think someone kills Jason with the dagger, and then Steve and Jessica walk off into the sunset, and then it ends with Jason's mask on the ground, and Freddy Krueger's hand comes up and pulls it.
In a laugh, Freddy Krueger's laugh.
Classic laugh.
Yeah. All right, so now we can jump back and forth
Okay,
with
cool.
random shit. Is there anything that comes to mind for you right now?
Well, alright, one thing I want to say, speaking of the mask, on the cover of this film, on the poster, there's a chrome hockey mask that looks really cool. It never appears in the film.
Yeah, let's just talk about the title. Jason Goes to Hell.
Well,
Does
it's a
he-
double lie, because Jason does not go to hell, and it's not the Final Friday.
But are we to assume he goes to hell at the very end?
Well, yes, he does go to hell, because if you see the opening credits of the next movie,
He's in hell.
well, it's in hell.
like fiery.
Yeah.
So, but still, that's a dumb fucking title for
Yeah.
like the very ending. You're kind of giving it away in a weird way.
Well, it seemed like that was going to be the whole
It's
movie.
misleading.
It's misleading. Even more
Exactly
misleading
what-
than Jason
what
Takes
you
Manhattan.
said when you said earlier, I pictured him in hell fighting demons and shit.
Yeah. Sounds awesome.
It does, and the cover's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
It's like fiery, and it's got like that worm
Mhm.
thing through the eyeballs or
The
whatever.
worm thing that is Jason.
Yeah,
It's more misleading than Jason Takes Manhattan.
yeah.
Which is also misleading. But this is even worse.
When you said they only had one day to film in
Yeah.
Manhattan.
They had no days to film in hell for this film, so
Yeah, so I'm just gonna
yeah.
feel free to
Give
interrupt
you
me. I
some
just got
notes.
random notes.
Yeah, I do too.
2 minutes in and there's already a naked chick, so they clearly know their audience.
Yeah. There's a did you watch the unrated cut?
I think so.
There's a very graphic sex scene in the tent in the unrated version. It's almost like a French art film. How graphic it is.
Wow. A mini nuke to kill Jason.
Yeah. That's the only thing that'll work.
Oh, during the news exposition, they mentioned that up until this movie, 86 total murders.
Not bad.
And then I put who counted.
Who counted?
And obviously those are the ones officially confirmed.
Right. Does everyone on the boat count in the last movie? Because he sunk that entire boat.
He did.
What about, oh, that doesn't happen yet. However many thousands of people are in that space station that he blew up in the next movie, but that hasn't happened yet. We're not ready to talk about that masterpiece.
Yeah, 86 out of now. Oh, and then I really don't like this self-awareness.
Okay.
I think there was a scene or something where, like, I think it was the bounty hunter or the sheriff where they say a line and they, like, look into the camera or something like that.
I don't think so.
I clearly remember being very upset.
All right. We'll try to find that.
We'll try to find that. But yeah, they say something like, who's keeping track, or like, does anyone watch these things or something?
Uh-huh.
And then they're looking to the camera. I was like, go to hell.
Go to hell, like Jason. We do, one of the meta bits that I kind of liked was we get Kane Hodder, who returns as Jason in this movie, briefly. But he also plays a security guard at the morgue, and he's like talking shit about Jason.
Jason could be getting up and walking around anytime soon.
We really nailed that fucker.
He wasn't nothing but a big old pussy anyway.
But I just kind of liked how much it was trying to like do stuff, even if it was mostly failing. It was just nice that like stuff was happening, even if it was weird and nonsense.
Yeah, I appreciate like adding and making new stuff up. Now it's like part of this universe.
Yeah.
You know, now it exists. Now it's like official. Like
Oh,
it
it's
is official.
The director.
I just would have hoped. I just wanted Jason to be in it more, but I do appreciate that they went for that. And then I guess he's just killing everyone now, as opposed to just like teenagers or Crystal Lake. Like he's just going for
just
it.
killing someone at a diner, just whoever, some cop. Yeah. The director Adam Marcus, he's very adamant that everything in this film is canon, especially the Necronomicon. So.
Hell yeah. Yeah, naked cop on torture device. So he was naked on top of that.
And his legs were like up on stirrups. His like legs were spread open.
Another body through a window.
Of course, yeah.
That's been every single movie.
Oh yeah, it's tradition.
He
at this
loved to throw corpses through windows.
and jump through windows himself.
Yeah. I think that's all I have.
Right, cool.
So, can we talk about the whole Freddy hand? It's just like, they added that for fun, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny actually. I watched a long-ass interview with the director, and apparently that was actually his idea. He was like, hey, it'd be fun to do a little tease at the end with Freddy pulling his mask down, and he was like, I don't know if they're gonna go for it, but they were like, yes, do that. We're making Freddy versus Jason
Tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing it tomorrow.
We swear. It's coming. We've been promising it since the 80s, and it's yeah, we're gonna start tomorrow, we promise.
Yeah, which I thought it was cool. I'm a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, so like, it's just fun to be like, okay, I guess he's in hell now with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And
because Freddy gets, what happens to Freddy at the end of Freddy's Dead?
I like rewatched all of them last year, and I already forgot.
Okay. I know he
Those are some weird ones.
wrestles with his daughter in like a dirty warehouse at the end, and then you put on your 3D glasses, and then his face explodes.
That's another video series.
Oh yeah, come back next year for some actual good movies.
Well, you know.
A handful. So yeah, that was Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
The final Friday, guys.
The movie where Jason does not go to hell, and it is not the final Friday.
You can exit this video as soon as this part's over because it's the final.
It's the final
Friday. He's in hell.
Just like the last time we did the final one.
Yep.
There weren't any more.
And is our rating system hockey mask or machetes? Okay.
And this is a rating system relative to the franchise,
Correct.
Not movies in general. So, because then they'd all be ones. So yeah, how many machetes do you give this film?
3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, because you know what? They do add a lot of shit. I was just like upset that Jason's not in it. I'll get over it. They added a lot of shit to it. It's more than the last 2 movies did, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was just boring. Like, the other ones were just like the same fucking thing over and over again. And at least in this one, you get the Freddy Krueger hand and you get the Necronomicon. So, like,
Yeah.
Those
References
helped a lot.
to things I like.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's good.
Doesn't take much to please me.
Seriously. Oh.
It doesn't make any sense when it's in there.
And it's just it's fun that was the real prop from Army of Darkness. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna give this 4 machetes.
Nice.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just nice to watch something that's a little different from the previous 8 movies.
The Duke.
The Duke, you got the Duke, you got
BDSM.
They have BDSM in this movie. That should count for something.
What is going on?
The director in his interview, he was like, yeah, everyone asks me about that scene, and you know, here's the thing. Gay people are fine. I think it's fine to be gay. Moving on. I'm like, no, that doesn't explain what's going on in that
Did you really
scene.
say that?
Well, he was just like, look, I think it's important to be inclusive in my movie. And I'm like, sure, but
What does that have to do
what's
with
the point
anything?
of that scene?
There's no context. They don't mention it anymore.
So yeah, it's the 2000s now, and they still haven't made Freddy vs. Jason.
Correct. The opening title, I think it's like we're in hell. Like it's one of those like CGI, you're moving around hell, you're seeing different levels and like demons and shit.
I really like this opening credits.
Yeah.
scene. The first 8 movies, the first 7 movies had like white text on a black screen. And this one is like CGI hell, it's got cool graphics. Harry Manfredini returns.
We're
for the
more in
score.
hell in this one than Jason
Yeah, we
Goes
spend
to
more
Hell.
time in hell than in the movie where Jason Goes to Hell. But it's a dope song in that opening title sequence. Harry Manfredini has returned to do the music. And it opens, I think I wrote this down, in the year 2010, the distant future, 2010.
Yeah, I said now we're in the future.
Yeah. And Jason is
Captured.
He's chained up in like a facility, a government facility.
A futuristic government facility. It's not just a warehouse.
No. It's a
government
it's a sci-fi
top secret
facility.
sci-fi warehouse. And he's like, I don't know, is he floating or is he
I
just
thought he
in
was like
chains?
chained up. I
Okay,
don't know.
he's chained up and he's got some security guards and there's like important people, you know.
A group of suits. David Cronenberg
There
is
you
one
go.
of them.
Really?
Yeah, he's the main guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What the hell's he doing in this?
Dude, he's having fun. He's having a good time. And once again, they don't explain how he comes back to life. But David Cronenberg shows up, and he says...
Why? What's the point?
Why?
You're already in the
see,
theater,
why
you're
waste
already
time?
watching it.
Yeah. What, he gets electrocuted again. Who cares? David Cronenberg explains that the government has been unable to kill Jason, So they decided to freeze him cryogenically and study his invincibility for research purposes.
Correct. They can't kill him, so they'll contain him.
The government
Yes.
has been unable to kill Jason.
Correct.
That's where we're at. So yeah, he gets. They start putting him in the. Oh no, he gets loose and murders.
Yeah.
everyone.
So his one security guard
One guy by himself
is taunting Jason, and it cuts to a female officer who is going to be our lead, one of the main
Yeah,
leads.
she is, isn't she? Yeah.
And then the next scene, Jason has escaped.
Yeah, they don't explain how, it doesn't matter. He starts murdering all the suits.
Yeah, it hasn't even been 5 minutes and there's 4 deaths.
Hell yeah. That's exactly how to do it in the 10th movie.
I put a sci-fi vibe going on.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, he escapes and then he's running amok in this facility. And I don't know the exact order of shit, but like the girl's being chased by him,
Mhm.
the main girl, and some button goes off and they both get cryogenically frozen.
Well, she traps him in the cryo freeze,
Mhm.
and he stabs her through the door, so the cryo juice leaks out and
The
freezes
ice
her
juice.
too. Yeah, liquid nitrogen leaks out and freezes her too, and so they're both frozen in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the year is 2445 when we come back, and we have a group of people. We don't know what they are yet, but we find out soon that they're students.
Catamaran transport ship.
Ooh, catamaran.
Yeah.
And they're a group of like college students basically coming to research old Earth, which is a
Awful
wasteland
people.
now. Yeah, I mean,
Immediately, you just hate them.
I hate them, and I hate the like rip-off, like second-rate Joss Whedon dialogue that they all have with their snark and their stupid ass.
Everyone's
quips.
witty. Nothing is like. Everyone's doing serious things, but it's all like not serious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can explain that
No,
properly.
no. There's so many puns when people are like dying.
Oh, this sucks on so many levels!
It's gonna take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog. Yeah, that ought to do it.
Sarge, we found Condor.
What's his condition?
He's screwed.
So, all right, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
They really went for it in this movie. They're just like, we know we've told you in the past to do whatever you want, but we really mean it this time.
Yes.
Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Here are the keys again. I know you've crashed the car 8 times again, but you know what? I trust you. I trust you.
This time the car is a spaceship.
This time the car's a spaceship.
Yeah, I also want to say, speaking of that, this movie has the highest budget of any Friday the 13th movie. And let me tell
Does it
you,
feel like it?
it looks like shit.
It looks like a really bad sci-fi original movie. It's like a sci-fi original movie, and they got their budget cut in half.
It looks worse. This is a movie released in theaters. It should look way better than TV shows. But if you look at TV shows that were on at the time, the production value is way better than this movie released in theaters.
It looks like the 7th season of like Smallville or something. You know, like.
It's so cheap looking. It's the most expensive one, but it's like the sets are just nonsense.
It is so futuristic. You have no idea. They're like.
They all
Okay,
have
the
stupid
plot
fusion-
real quick.
Jesus Christ. All right, fine. We'll get it because the plot's nothing. So
Sure.
the students get Jason, the frozen Jason and the frozen woman. They're on Earth, which is you realize is a wasteland, and they get on their spaceship, their tiny little shuttlecraft, and fly back to their main spaceship, which is the Grendel, I believe, or the Grendel might be another ship. Doesn't matter. They fly to their ship and
Sure, it's like a research facility, and then you got the head dude of the ship who, shocker, he's in it for the money. He's just like, how much monies can I get for for one frozen Jason.
Yeah, he realizes Jason's probably
And
a
a
collector's
girl.
item.
And I guess in the future, those aren't worth money because he calls his homie via Skype and tells him, I have a couple frozen bodies, and the dude's all like, who cares? You're not gonna get anything for that. He's like, not even Jason? And then, I don't know, does he say sure?
I think he says sure. I think he's like, oh, Jason.
So now the thing is they need to transport Jason to their destination.
Right.
And while that's happening, we meet all these people.
These
and
people
then
with stupid names.
They get unfrozen.
These people all have stupid names, and they all, like half the cast looks like famous actors but none of them are. I just have a list of names I have to rattle off real quick. Andrew Garfield, Katie Sackhoff, Olivia Munn, Toni Collette, and Theodore Roosevelt all have lookalikes that are in this movie. So they resurrect Olivia Munn's body because she was frozen, and she's alive still, but they think Jason's dead, so that one woman starts dissecting him.
Correct.
And
they accidentally unfreeze him.
They unfreeze him intentionally.
Olivia Munn is like, kill him or
Mhm.
jettison him off, like we're all
Shoot
in
him out the
danger.
airlock.
And they're like, shut up, old person, you don't know anything. This is the future now. Things are fine. You worry too much.
So, do you remember what brings Jason back to life in this movie?
No.
So, two of the kids sneak off into a room and start having sex.
Oh, in front of another chick or something, and then she's all like,
Oh yeah, she's like, go have sex
you guys
somewhere
are
else.
excused. They're like, awesome.
These two kids start having sex, and Jason starts like moving his hand, and then
He's powered by
he is.
premarital sex.
And then when the girl has an orgasm, he shoots up and he's like awake again. And so her orgasm brings him back to life. It's like premarital orgasms. And then that's when we get another one of the best kills in the entire franchise, the liquid nitrogen kill.
That is a cool one.
Yeah.
That's the one, right?
It's fucking awesome. Apparently impossible. They did it on Mythbusters. Doesn't matter. It's still awesome.
All right, so then that happens, and then is the plot even important? Should we just start
Jason
going?
starts killing people.
Jason starts killing people on the vessel,
Mhm.
and it turns into them trying to escape.
Mm-hmm. It's Jason Takes Manhattan once again.
The ship blows up, but Jason's flying through space. Oh no! First, before that happens, there's an android we haven't talked
Yeah,
about.
there's KM, the android who has magnetic nipples or something that fall off,
Mhm.
and he swears he didn't build her for sex.
Yes,
So, and she's actually pretty cool. I liked her, and I liked
she's fun.
Sergeant Brodsky, the army guy.
Mhm.
He was pretty badass. It's cool to see like a real badass go up against Jason.
Yeah, shit starts to go south. They find out the intentions of the professor dude.
Yeah.
They're just trying to escape at this point, and then let's just fast forward. What ends up happening? They kill Jason.
They kill Jason. KM puts on like a dominatrix outfit and gets a bunch of guns. A BDSM
combat
outfit.
outfit.
Yeah, yeah. It's a combat outfit in the future. And she blows the shit out of Jason even more thoroughly than they did in the last movie. And for some reason, he gets blown directly onto a biobed, and they leave him there and on the one spot on the ship where he might heal. Even though his face has been, like his skull has been blown apart, I still wouldn't leave him.
In the future, they
Yeah.
heal everything.
They heal everything, and he's on a bed of nanotech.
Mhm.
And the nanotech consumes him, crawls all over his body, and turns him into a cyborg. And so now we have a cyborg Jason that's way more powerful, and even the robot can't fight him.
He looks pretty cool.
It's awesome. The red he has two good eyes. Finally, that's like
scary looking
yeah.
eyes.
The contacts are
he's
badass.
like pissed.
He is pissed, and I would be too.
And then, do they escape? What ends up happening?
So then they get to the space station,
Mhm.
and they're going to land there, but Jason has already killed the pilots. So instead of landing at the space station, they crash into it and kill thousands of people. It's a big day for Jason.
Mhm.
He has to make up for like 400 years of no killing.
and he does it almost
Yeah.
immediately. No time wasted.
So then they realize they're fucked. There's a great scene where they have to distract Jason, and they put him on the holodeck, and it's like a simulation
cool.
of the set of the 80s and like old school Crystal Lake.
want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
It cuts away when they take off their tops, and then it cuts back to them, and he's just like beating her. He's holding one of them in a sleeping bag and beating the other one who's also in a sleeping bag.
I love that kill, by the
Yeah.
way. It's so cool.
So many of these, like, there's an awful CGI monster. It looks like Dark Star.
Impossible! It's dead!
I'd say it got better. It's been modified.
Oh, you think?
Take him?
I could try.
Sergeant Brodsky's still alive, even though it seemed like he got stabbed. And he puts on a spacesuit and grabs Jason, and they fly out the airlock together, and they burn up in the atmosphere.
He's like, Jason's about to crash land back into the spaceship or something, and then that dude like grabs him.
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't.
But then he grabs him, and they fly down to Earth together, and they burn up in the atmosphere. Once again, Dark Star.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jason's mask lands in a new lake on Earth 2, on a new planet. And there's like some teenagers in the woods saying, "Ah,
A shooting star. Let's go check it out.
And you go, "Oh." Okay, so what do you think generally? Do you like this movie?
I probably like it just as much as the last one.
Okay. I used to love this movie.
Love.
It's very stupid and fun, and it has a lot of good kills.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of the movies are missing good kills, surprisingly. But no, I don't love it anymore. I don't like the cheap-ass production value. Once again, it looks
That's
like...
saying a lot for these movies too, dude.
Well, the other ones have cheap production value, but they're not set on a spaceship, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It looked like Dark Star, seriously.
It's bad.
It's terrible. And there is a scene where they're on the holodeck, and there's like beams, like support beams with like fluorescent lights like zip tied to them.
Oh god.
It's like, look, I get these movies don't make that enough money to like, I don't know. I guess it's better that they made it cheap than not made it at all, because
Yeah.
it is cool to see like cyborg Jason and like just.
I put the Jason's effects were pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
he looked cool.
Oh yeah, he looked awesome.
You can tell where the money went. All the researchers and scientist girls wear sexy outfits. I hope it's like that in the future.
The one girl was like barely wearing anything. It was
Yeah.
like just like a vest with like no bra or undershirt.
Crop tops / like open, like just what a scientist would wear.
Yes,
you know?
what a future scientist would wear. One of the kids had one of the stupidest shirts I've ever seen. It was like it was like a blue sleeveless like wool shirt with like stripes of fur on it.
The future.
That's future style, unfortunately. Glad we're not going to live to see it.
Crystal Lake Research Facility. Was that in the beginning or where was that? That's what it was.
Yeah, I forgot
Okay.
about that.
Crystal Lake Research.
I did find it fun when he kills those two guys on the holodeck, and it's like a game to them. But then it like cuts to like
it's like VR.
It's
almost.
like, but it's not like it seems like it's like a holodeck, but really they're just sitting on the floor in this room alone. And I'm
it's like VR.
yeah, but why do they need to be in that room? Why couldn't they just like be in a closet together if they're not actually like moving around? They're just sitting on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know. We're introduced to a lot of characters, and there's like that scene where these people are doing like VR on the floor, and like that VR is awful. You can only imagine if we're telling you how bad the CGI is. Now, like VR now is like decent.
Yeah, it looks much worse than you know what it looked like is the monsters from the Scooby-Doo movie, the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. It looked exactly like those.
Scooby-Doo looked better than this. I got some harsh words for the nerd guy. He falls in love with his robot, and the odds of survival go up.
Are you telling me that there is absolutely no chance for us to better our odds?
Statistical probability of survival just went up to 53%.
Remember?
Yeah, because they're
And then,
in love, so they.
The only way he could ever get a a kiss from a girl is if he programmed her to.
I like how he's like carrying her head around the whole time at like the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
I found that funny.
Oh, the fight scene with the android and Jason was epic on so many levels. My favorite part are just, I love funny sound effects. And anytime she did like a double front flip, and it made the made the whoosh sound effect like several times. Okay, I don't know. I don't think I have much else to say.
Yeah, whatever. Holodeck Crystal Lake scene is pretty fun. Some cool kills.
Yeah, this is one of those things where the production value really hindered it, you know. And it is cool. The concept is cool, like Jason in space. Because I guess I just think of like the Alien movie, and I'm not comparing it at all, but it's like, it would have been kind of cool if they tried to make it scary.
That would have been cool.
That ship has sailed so long ago of like actually trying to scare us.
Well, yeah.
You know,
this movie is
it's like they're falling in 100% for that comedic shit.
It's not trying to be scary in any way.
No, not at all.
This is like if they made Alien in the 2000s for idiots.
I mean, pretty cool title.
Yeah. X was really big. It was a cool letter back then. You had the X-Men movies. You had like the Triple X movies. You had the LXG movie.
I guess X is back with Twitter and stuff. But yeah, cool concept. Poorly executed. I mean, I usually like shitty lines like that and cheesiness. I don't know, it just wasn't for me though.
Fair enough.
What are your final thoughts on this?
Well, how many machetes do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a two machetes just because I don't know, I just like, well, I felt like it's fast forwarding it. It's so bad to me. I'm not giving it a 1 because of just saying Jason Voorhees is in outer space killing people and the absurdity of it is like entertaining, but it's such a bad movie. That's it.
Fair enough. This movie is very bad. It's the same thing that we've had a million times, but it's in space. It's a great concept.
They don't care about us, huh?
There are some fun characters. There's a sexy robot. There's a badass space marine. It's fun-ish. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna give it a 3, higher than you. It's still a bit of fun to me. I do like the cheesy lines a lot of the time. Some of them piss me off, but I like some of them.
I'm bitchy as hell when I wake up.
Did you just wake up?
We're finally here.
Now,
I think this is the movie I was most excited for.
please tell me you like this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I know
really
you've seen
did.
it before, but
Yeah, I've seen it before. I really enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I'm counting it as part of the. We're obviously counting it of the Friday the 13th franchise. It's in both of our box sets, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
And it doesn't come
counts,
in
all
the
right?
Freddy box sets usually, which is interesting.
That is true. I don't have it in the Freddy box. Freddy versus Jason. The time has come.
The time has come. It's I mean, what can you say about this movie? It's everything you could want. From
the fans wanted
concept.
it. I remember it coming out. This is weird, but what year was this?
03.
Okay, so I was still a kid. Weird memory I have is, I don't know if it was a commercial, if it was HBO. There was some kind of advertisement for this movie. I didn't have internet or anything, so this was like on the TV, but it was like, you know when boxers go...
Oh yeah, the weigh-in.
The weigh-in?
Yeah.
I remember there being a weigh-in for this with Freddy and Jason. It was a big deal.
If you were around,
it was a big deal.
I was a little kid when this came out, but I didn't even know about horror, but it was a huge deal. Like,
yeah.
This was everywhere. They were marketing the shit out of this movie. It was palpable. You could feel it in the air.
Totally. I'll let you take this, man.
Oh boy, all right.
Because there is actual plot.
There is a plot in this film. The reason for that being is because this is also a Freddy movie, and those movies have plots.
Yeah.
Let me just say also how refreshing it was to see Freddy after 10 Jason movies.
I was like, this is so cool. I said, cool intro, cool to see Freddy with no makeup. He's narrating it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like perfect.
I think that's the first time we see, you know, his birth where the parents burned down his house. Like, I don't think we've seen that in the movies before.
No, it was pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
But it's not like a super deep plot, but there is a plot.
There is a plot.
If you want to go
I have it written here.
Cool.
Okay. So, all right. It says, since his last defeat, Freddy Krueger has been in hell, unable to invade the children's dreams.
Cool, because of the Jason 2 in hell.
Yeah, exactly. So they're both in hell. Freddy's ability to invade dreams has been diminished because basically it seems like there was a plot by the parents of Springwood, the adults in Springwood, to never mention Freddy again.
Right? It's gotta be Freddy Krueger. Hey, don't even say that son of a bitch's name out loud. Let's just keep it together.
And so he's been unable to do his whole thing.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to be in, like, people's conscience, or, like, he needs to be thought of, and that's how he becomes more powerful.
And that goes all the way back to the first movie. That's how he's defeated in the first movie.
I take back every bit of energy I gave you. You're nothing.
So he basically decides to use Jason he somehow has the ability to resurrect Jason and use him to bring the Freddy legend back to life.
He uses Jason's mother.
Yes, he disguises himself as Jason's mother, tells Jason to start killing teenagers, basically.
He, like, explains to Jason and to us, like, you can't die. Like, it's time for you.
You can never die.
You're a special kid. You can never die. Wake up. Like, wake up and go get revenge for me. Like, for your mother. And that's enough for Jason to
get out of hell. Did they show the Muppet hands in this one, like releasing him, or am I imagining that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I remember him, like, coming out of the dirt or something.
Okay. Anyway, so we're introduced to a bunch of early 2000s douchebag kids. One of them's Kelly Rowland from the famous meme. You remember that meme? And she's also in Destiny's Child, but it's a music video.
Oh!
She's supposed to be like texting a guy who's not texting her back, but when it shows the phone,
she's sending a PDF or something.
It's like Microsoft Excel. She's typing on Excel on her phone. It's like, well, that's why he's not texting me back. Apparently she fucking hates that meme. Like, people ask her about it, and she's like, I don't even know what Microsoft Excel is. Anyway, she's in this movie, and just a bunch of, like, basically Friday the 13th-esque vapid teenagers, but they're 2003 versions, so they're even douchier.
So that's what sets up this whole thing in motion. Freddy Krueger is trying to get his strength back, and he's using Jason. How does he do that?
Well, so once he kills the girl's like super douchebag boyfriend, which is an awesome kill through the bed and like folds up the bed, and then after the cops get there and they're like, "What? Who do you think could have done this?" And then one of the cops is like, "Do you think it could have been Freddy Krueger?" And the sheriff's like, "Don't you fucking say that." And like one of the kids is like overhears them, and it's Lori, which I'm not sure if that's a Halloween reference, but she hears them and she's like, "Freddy Krueger, very interesting."
What's the name?
So that's how this whole thing kind of starts.
Yeah.
Right? Freddy's name gets mentioned.
Freddy's name gets mentioned, and she hears it.
So Freddy's plan was to like hope that like these deaths would be like, oh, it's Freddy.
Yeah, it would trigger somebody to assume it was Freddy and
Oh,
start
because
talking about it.
he tells Jason to go to Elm Street,
Yeah.
right? And do the deaths there.
Mhm.
Oh, got it.
And it's the classic Elm Street house, which has been in all the movies. Which was just Nancy's house in the first movie, but then eventually they like retconned it to say it was where Freddy lived or some stupid shit.
I don't remember.
So yeah, so that's the whole plot. And then once Freddy's ready to like start killing, once he has his powers back, he wants to rein Jason back in. But then Jason's like, "I don't work for you anymore." And so then they're mad at each other and they have to fight. And these kids have to figure out how to kill them both.
Yeah, the kids kind of use Jason. The kids, I mean, it's kind of a long shot, but the kids figure out that Freddy is using Jason for these kills and that they need Jason to fight Freddy, but they should do it on Jason's home turf.
Yeah. They were like, if we...
Look, it sounds dumb, I understand.
No, I know, it does make sense this time because their plan was basically bring them to Crystal Lake, bring Freddy into the real world at Crystal Lake, have Jason kill Freddy at Crystal Lake, and then the kids can leave and Jason will stay at Crystal Lake because he has no desire to leave, which is a decent plan, to be honest.
Sure. For high schoolers, it's not bad.
Yeah.
And that's essentially it. Maybe we can start
that's the
going
plot.
into
I mean,
it.
there's a lot of details.
Sure.
I can get really into it if you want. I have the whole plot written out here.
Well, do you want to? Do you want to just start going over notes, or as we go through it?
Let's just start talking.
Sure.
You know this movie. If you're watching this movie, this video, you should have.
You should have at least seen this one.
This is like essential viewing for film lovers. This is like an iconic movie. This movie's amazing. Like this is way better than like the Alien vs Predator movies are fine, but this is like leagues ahead of that. This is a perfect example of how you bring two characters together in the right way. You kind of match their
like the
lore
first
together.
Alien vs Predator.
I like it too. I like both of them.
Look, this seems like an actual movie.
Exactly.
And that's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's very hard to believe. But I think the reason it feels more like a movie is, again, because of Freddy. Those feel much more like real movies.
We have a voice for the first time.
We have a character who speaks.
Like a character who speaks, and not just a character who speaks. It's so iconic. He's such a lovable villain.
Yeah.
You know, he's an asshole, but he's funny. You know.
Watch your nose.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah, man. Let's just dive into it.
So yeah, diving into. I mean, yeah. Let's talk about Freddy because this really. A lot of this movie just feels like a Freddy movie that also has Jason in it.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I feel like Jason is in it a lot.
He is.
He's I think he's doing most of the work.
Mm-hmm. He gets more kills for sure.
Yeah.
But this is 2003, and it really just feels like a 2000s version of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which is very cool. I do not like most of the characters. There's the nerdy kid who's says some lame comeback to Kelly Rowland at some point. He tells her off in some lame ass way.
You know what, Kia? I used to think you hated me because you thought I wasn't good enough for Lori. But that's not it. See, you tear me down to make yourself feel better because you really hate yourself, which is kind of pathetic when you actually stop and think about it, assuming, of course, you can think, with all that makeup weighing down your head.
There's the nerdy kid that has a crush on a girl and she's not interested in him, and then the girl has a boyfriend.
Well,
right?
her boyfriend is her boyfriend is trapped or confined in the Weston Hills asylum.
Correct.
From Dream Warriors with the other kid. I liked both those kids in the asylum. They were cool.
Yeah, why are those kids in the asylum?
Because they know about Freddy. And the adults, it turns out the adults want them to think they're crazy and keep them locked away so they don't tell any of the other kids about Freddy.
Correct. And our main character, Lori, her dad works at the asylum.
Yes.
And knows that her daughter's boyfriend is in there.
Yeah.
And hasn't told her daughter.
And
her mother's dead.
Yeah, her mom's dead, and her boyfriend thinks that her dad killed her mom. We find out later it was Freddy, but he's adamant that, and you know the dad is keeping secrets from the daughter, so it's kind of shady. She's a little sussed out by her dad after all this.
He's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
There's a scene towards the end where he's like chasing her
through the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how much he loves her. It's really weird.
It's weird. He's a weirdo, so fuck him. And they end up escaping from the asylum, and they go to her high school. And she's like, I saw a guy in my dreams, and the kid's like, it was Freddy Krueger, and so all the kids start remembering Freddy.
Yeah, which, just a quick pause there. One, it's funny how easily you can tell it's the 2000s.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the way it was filmed or if it's just the outfits.
The way they were dressed.
The way they talk, but it's like, you can so tell. And it's so funny because it's these high school students that don't fucking look like high school students, which is another reason you could tell it's the early thousands, because it's like they look like grown-ass adults.
One of those high school students, actually, I noticed this, is Evangeline Lilly in the background, no lines.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who would be in Lost, like I think only a year after this movie, but yeah.
And the famous Hobbit.
Yes,
movies.
famous role in the Hobbit and the Marvel movies or whatever. But yeah.
Ant-Man 5.
Yeah. So,
anyways, yeah.
Then after this is when we get the cornfield party, the rave in the cornfield.
Rave in the cornfield.
Very 2000s.
Dude, so funny. It was fun to watch.
Oh yeah. This scene's dope because we get flaming Jason. Oh, I wanted to say. All right, real quick. Just jumping back.
We're going to be jumping back and forth a lot.
So Jason in this movie is played by, unfortunately, they didn't want Kane Hodder back, which is really shitty because he campaigned hard to make this movie. He really wanted to do it.
Wow.
And I guess they just thought he wasn't right for this like big cinematic event.
Who'd they get?
They got a guy named Ken Kersinger, who we actually see is the busboy in Jason Takes Manhattan that he throws into the wall in the diner.
That guy?
Yeah.
He
plays Jason.
Not that he did a bad job in this.
No.
I'm just
not
like,
at
that's
all.
weird.
Yeah, it's lame. Freddy.
That must suck for the other guy.
He seems very sad about it to this day. And I'm bummed. Like, he deserved to be a part of this. He really did. And it's shitty. Luckily...
We're gonna need that mask back.
But we do get Robert Englund as Freddy, thank God. And also, do you know who directed this movie?
I don't.
This movie was directed by Ronnie Yu, who had just come off of the horror masterpiece Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky.
Which, as you know,
you can tell
is a movie I love.
a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the tone.
The tone, perfect. Like the comedic tone.
Now, come on! Let me handle this, bitch.
Someone's passed out. The girlfriend of the boyfriend who got stabbed in the beginning, she's passed out, and she's having a Freddy nightmare. And he's like fucking with her as he does. And then
And he's not strong enough yet. He's like scaring
He's
her.
like building up his strength in this scene. And once he finally is about to like get his first kill, her chest just explodes. And it turns out that Jason has killed her in the real world and stolen Freddy's kill, which is pretty fucking awesome.
She's mine! Mine! Mine!
And then, back to the rave scene.
Back to the rave scene.
The drunk dude is laughing at him, and then he twists his Fred's head.
It looks terrible.
And then the guy like throws beer at him, and like then he lights him on fire. He's like, "Yeah, take that, bitch."
It's highly like high proof beer.
Yeah,
it's heavy alcohol content in that beer, and it sets Jason ablaze. We get a really cool shot of him on fire, walking through the cornfield, overhead shot, and then he just starts slashing partygoers.
Yep,
Pretty
he does
fun
what
scene.
he does best. It's like you just set him loose.
Yeah,
and then he just starts walking and just
like it's like a buffet for him.
Yeah,
it's like a slaying buffet.
Oh, and why do they hate Letterman so much? That nerd guy.
Because he's a nerd, and they're jocks. Have you ever seen a movie?
The chick gets led by the ghost of her boyfriend in the cornfield.
Oh yeah.
Who's dead.
Yeah.
The boyfriend is dead, and she leaves the little rave area because her boyfriend says and her boyfriend was an asshole.
Yeah, he was a fucking asshole.
Sucked.
I know.
They're like having sex in the beginning. He's like, "Get off me."
Yeah. I told you I don't want to be touched after, babe.
Yeah.
Oh, don't kiss me after you smoked.
Babe, you know I don't like to be touched after, okay?
Whoa, babe. Tell you about kissing me after you smoked, huh?
And then she's like, "I love this guy." But so after he's dead, she follows him. I just thought
also the scene where he's getting killed by Jason in the bed and he's still holding on to his beer. Anyway, sorry.
Jason sent that raver guy flying.
Yeah, people go flying in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
You like that?
I thought it was fun.
I'm like, I don't know about that, but so then after this, I think is the scene where they all gather in the basement to try to come up with a plan, right?
Yeah. So now we have our main characters. We have Lori, her best friend, who's that singer you
Kelly
said,
Rowland.
And then we have the nerd guy,
Linderman.
And then we have the guy that looks like you.
Yes. We have the Jay and Silent Bob ripoff stoner guy.
And then we have the two cuckoo guys.
We have the two cuckoo guys. And then one of them gets killed by Freddy, unfortunately, because he was probably my favorite character. But the red-haired kid,
red hair.
He's like in the bathroom, and he gets killed by Freddy. You know, he's like the blonde, red-haired.
Oh yes, his brother, right?
His brother, yeah. Which is a cool scene. Like you see his brother in the bathtub,
and he tells him to like come here or something.
Yeah.
How does he die?
He dies. Well, Freddy. There's another cool scene where like some weird tentacles or tendrils or something come out of the ground and like stick into his feet, and then he gets burnt by Freddy, I think from hot water, and then that's the scene where his burnt back says Freddy's back.
That's cool.
So cool.
It is pretty cool.
Freddy's back.
I put, hey, it's the bully from A Christmas Story. Is that the red hair?
Oh, really?
Oh, that's the dude's brother.
Oh, okay. The older brother?
The older
That's
brother
funny.
is... And then this is weird. I actually met him once at a bar and had a drink with him. And I told him how much I love Christmas Story.
Did you talk to him about this movie?
No, because I didn't know.
Huge missed opportunity.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a shame because he dies. And then the other detective who's like, or he's a deputy, the cop who's like...
who's on the side of the kids.
Mm-hmm. He's
he
young,
believes them.
and he's like hasn't heard about Freddy, and he doesn't like that the cops are.
They're not telling him
something
anything.
shady, yeah.
And they see that the kids are figuring it out, so like he's all like, well, I'm gonna see what these kids know, and they like help them out.
So I hate this scene when they're in the basement trying to figure out how to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
It has one of the worst lines ever in a movie.
Okay.
Laurie says, "Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that?"
Wait a minute. Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that?
I hate this line. You can't use that. They're two completely different, like it doesn't... It's like saying Freddy died from food poisoning, Jason was run over by a car. How can we use that? You can't, like they're separate. You can't use them together, and they never do.
I've never paid that much attention to that.
Just because fire and water are like duality doesn't mean...
You have the yin and yang.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. And they don't end up using them to... Like, how could you use fire and water together? They cancel each other out.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Stupid line, but that's fine. And so then they come up with their plan, which I already mentioned, which is to kidnap Jason, put him to sleep, take him to Crystal Lake, have him dream about Freddy, or no.
They had to break into the
Weston Hills Asylum
place to get the narcotic.
The hypnosil.
The hypnosil. Yeah, it has like a name. Yeah.
And I think that goes all the way back
like
to the
help
early
them.
Freddy
Oh,
movies.
that's so they don't have dream. No,
it puts them to
It just puts them to sleep.
No, the hypnosil.
One of them was so they don't have dreams, right?
Yeah. Because in the Freddy movies, they're taking all kinds of pills. There's like stay awake pills.
But in
no
this
dream
one
pills.
specifically, I thought it was like, it's like a.
Oh yeah, no, you're
beta,
right.
Like they're trying it out, but it seems to be working where they don't have any dreaming.
The pills are the hypnosil that stop them from dreaming, but then also they have the sleep injection syringes that put you to sleep. Yeah, so they're there to bring Jason to Crystal Lake, then have someone fall asleep and grab Freddy in the dream and wake up, bring Freddy to the real world. Jason kills Freddy. Jason
End of
stays at
story.
Crystal Lake. That's
We
their
go
plan.
home, we go back to school.
Our lives are normal
Yeah.
from then on out. So I like this hospital scene quite a bit because you get one of the only scary or creepy moments in this movie is when there's like that room full of patients that are in comas, and then once they start falling asleep, they like sit up and start looking at the kids.
Pretty cool.
That's really creepy. There's the Freddy worm that smokes the hookah with the stoner guy.
I just remember seeing that for the first time. I was like, this is so weird. So weird.
Why does he do that?
Why does he do that?
Who knows?
He's not killing him. He's not scaring him.
No. Well, he wants to possess him, and he does.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, how can I get this stoner guy on my team?
Yeah.
Or whatever, easily possessed. It's pretty cool. It's the first showdown. It's the first confrontation between Freddy and Jason. So Jason goes up to him. He's like about to kill him, and then he like stabs him with the hypno drug. He injects it, but just in time for Jason to decapitate him.
I think does he decapitate? I remember he slices him pretty good. I don't remember if he decapitates him or what. So then Jason's asleep, and the kids are able to get Jason's body into the van and start driving him to Crystal Lake. Which, side note, Springwood is in Ohio and Crystal Lake's in New Jersey.
Don't worry about that.
Come on! Come on!
He is having a nightmare on Elm Street about Freddy, and this is their first kind of real confrontation. It's in a Freddy dream, and it's kind of stupid when Freddy's like batting him around like a pinball machine with the sound effects.
Well,
he's
like Freddy's talking to him and telling him like, "These are my kids," or like, "Now it's my turn. Like, you've had your fun or whatever. Like, I'm gonna take over." And Jason like kind of starts to put up a fight, but like they're in a dreamland, so like
Freddy's got the advantage.
Freddy has the really big advantage.
A lot of people have issues with the scene where Jason's afraid of water in this scene, where Freddy
he
opens
finds
up
out
a water spout.
Yeah.
Jason's not afraid of water.
He went swimming.
He swam to New York, like from the ocean, from
Yeah.
the middle of the ocean to New York. He's like, in plenty of these movies, he's been living at the bottom of a lake, like over months.
Yeah, that's one of the continuity things that doesn't really make sense.
He loves water.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's chased people inside the water.
Oh, he has.
Pulled them into the water
Yes.
and shit. Yeah.
What was that? Why did you guys do that? That was stupid. And so then Jason briefly turns into a little boy and starts crying again. Like Jason Takes Manhattan, but it's fine because it's a dream. It's not as stupid. And then I think this is when we finally get the flashback to Crystal Lake, right? Or no, yeah, then they need to put Lori asleep so she can grab Freddy out of the dream. And so she has a dream about Crystal Lake, about Jason's origin. And this is the first time we actually see his origin.
Yeah.
Where the kids push him into the lake.
They're bullying him and then they push him into the lake. And then the counselors are fucking.
Counselors are fucking, and one of the counselors is Freddy.
Aren't you gonna help the kid?
Can't you see I'm busy here?
You mean you're not coming?
It's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet.
And then we also see Jason's like mind palace, his like subconscious is just like an infinite loop of him like dragging a dead body through a lake into a house. It's just like that's his.
I don't remember that.
That's his whole like ethos, is just dragging dead bodies
His
through
reason
the
to
woods.
live.
Yeah, that's all he knows, which I find hilarious. And so...
Oh, another body through the window.
Really?
Before he said, "Let me handle this bitch."
Oh yeah, in the asylum. Yeah. So then they get there, and Laurie has a dream fight with Freddy on the dock of Crystal Lake, but then she grabs him in time when she wakes up and pulls him into the real world. I think Kelly Rowland gets killed, and the nerd gets killed too at some point by Jason, whatever. And then Laurie and her boyfriend are in the cabin.
I think the nerd gets killed first, and
Oh
then
yeah,
he
has like
tells
a resolution
he tells
with Kelly
the
Rowland.
chick
Yeah.
to like leave. I'm fine, but he's not.
Yeah.
He got stabbed.
So that's a shame. Not really. I don't give a shit about him. But so they're in the cabin. Freddy realizes he's in the real world, and he's like, "Oh shit, I don't like this."
Yeah, it's. I think it's worth the payoff. Like how long the fight scene is.
Yeah.
You know? It's pretty ridiculous.
It's long, ridiculous, and bloody.
There's a construction site at Camp Crystal
the
Lake.
Crystal Lake condo development community. Right, it's across from the Crystal Lake Research Facility in the Crystal Lake docks. And and then we get the fight. You know, there's the throwing rebar at Jason. There's the helium or CO2 tanks that he like slices open and shoots at Jason like torpedoes.
I enjoyed all the blood.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was really cool that for a second they got to switch weapons.
Yeah. That final scene on the dock with them fighting, so awesome.
Yeah,
so
cool.
much blood.
Yeah, a lot of blood.
Yeah, a lot of blood. They're just like mutilating each other. Jason cuts Freddy's arm off. Freddy stabs Jason in the eyes with his claw hand. And then Jason kills Freddy by using his severed arm to stab his heart out through his chest, right?
Yes.
And that's the
Doesn't she
fight.
yell something? Doesn't Laurie yell something while they're
I
fighting?
think she
or
does
something?
say something stupid. Like kung fu this bitch.
This bitch.
She says a line.
Wait, she says, "Welcome to my world, bitch," right?
Yes,
Yeah.
when she first brings him in,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Welcome to my world.
Because that's what he says in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world, bitch.
Welcome to my world, bitch!
But then it cuts to the next morning, and Jason's walking out of the lake with Freddy's head, signifying Jason's won. But then we get one last shot. Freddy looks at the camera and winks and laughs, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah. I put that the movie ended too quick for me.
Fair enough.
And I would have liked a little before that perfect as the last shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have liked a little outro with the teens or whatever. Of like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Apparently there
none of
were
it
multiple
matters.
endings that they cut some of them out. Some of them had them in it more, but yeah.
Fun movie, man.
Fun movie. It's once again
Very entertaining.
So good to see Freddy after all these shit Jason movies. 5 out of 5 for me. Machetes.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
for me, man. 5 machetes. Well deserved. The best Friday the 13th movie.
Fair.
Has Freddy
Completely
Krueger in
fair,
it.
yeah.
Jason was my son. You let him drown. You should have been watching him. Every minute.
We've arrived at the last stop on the Jason tram.
This is it, folks.
This is it.
This is the last one.
The last one, 2009's Friday the 13th.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks for
It's
sticking
been
with
a long,
us.
wild ride.
It
We're
has.
finally here. The last Friday the 13th movie. And it's called
Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Fitting title.
Yeah. So what's up with the rights? I hope you have any...
I think they desperately cobbled the rights together in order to call this movie Friday the 13th for marketing purposes. I don't remember what the specific process was, but yeah, they were able to call this movie Friday the 13th for some reason. And like I said, I consider this to be one of the best horror remakes. Would you agree? Did you like this movie?
I enjoyed this movie a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still like in the realm of bad horror movies for me, but we're talking about Friday the 13th movies, and that being said, I enjoyed them a lot.
Big time.
Produced by Michael Bay.
Platinum Dunes. I have some trivia about that later.
And who was the director?
The director is Marcus Nispel, who was famous in the 90s, or not famous, but known for doing music videos. He actually also, before this, directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which is actually really good.
Haven't seen it.
Obviously not as good as the original, but probably the best remake that there's been. I really like that Texas Chainsaw remake. And so Marcus Nispel directed this. Jason is played by a guy named Derek Mears,
who I did see some behind the scenes about him, and I'm a fan of him.
Yeah, he seems awesome.
He loves this role. He seems like a really nice guy. Everyone had good things to say about him, and he was like the nicest guy on the set.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, I love these movies. I can't believe I get to be part of it. And he just...
You love to see it.
Yeah.
Apparently he has alopecia, which is the disease where you can't grow any hair, I think.
Correct.
And apparently he really identified with Jason when he was a little kid, because he used to get made fun of too.
Oh.
So he really...
So he gets to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. So
revenge.
he gets to be Jason, which is like very, very nice. This movie has a list of like high tier B-list actors, I'd say.
I mean, the only guy that stands out for me is Supernatural.
So we have Jared Padalecki from
Is that
Supernatural,
Okay.
who's to me definitely the worst actor of the two brothers in that show. Do you ever watch that show?
No, he's a good-looking dude.
He is a good-looking guy for sure, and he's not a terrible actor. I watched about 9 seasons of that show.
Okay, so you're pretty familiar.
Yeah, which is I think less than half of the show's run. But so we have Jared Padalecki as the lead. We have Danielle Panabaker, who when I was a little kid, had a huge crush on her.
Is that the main girl?
Sky High, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I used to have a huge crush on her.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
We have I forget his name, the guy at the beginning who's like plays Ginsberg in Mad Men. He's like in Silicon Valley. He's in like
the guy in
with the bandana at the beginning. I don't remember his name.
At the very beginning, I don't know his name, but he's also on Superstore.
Yeah, Superstore. That's a pretty good show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like that actor a lot. I fucking hated his character, but...
Well, look, that beginning scene, my first thing is, I hate these people so much
100%
almost immediately.
Agreed.
Which, I'm sure that was what they were going for.
Sure.
I'm not gonna go out there with a boner.
We're not getting any until you do.
Or we have the blonde guy from Party Down. You ever watch that show?
No.
Great show. And we also have, as Mrs. Voorhees, we have Nana Visitor, plays Mrs. Voorhees from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So that's very fun for me, because you don't see those actors very often. And I think that's it. It's not a remake. It has nothing. It has none of the same characters.
It is its own entity.
Yeah.
It's its own thing.
It's another one. It's just another one.
It's another one, but I think of it as like the greatest hits.
Yeah.
Of the. It's like its own thing. Part 1, taking some of the cool. Like, there's not a lot of lore for these movies, so it's like grab the lore from 1, from 2. From
1,
this,
2,
like,
3, and 4.
Yeah, and grab those and let's like make one solid. So like the very beginning is the black and white scene. Am I right?
It is.
Okay.
And what's interesting about that scene is that it takes place in 1980. They don't move up the timeline. It's still kind of in the same continuity probably as the old movies.
You have Mrs.
Voorhees and
going up against
maybe Alice, maybe a different counselor.
Sure.
But in this scene, you actually see little boy Jason watching from the woods, watching the counselor kill his mom.
As like the credits are rolling,
it's a cool opening
It's very
credit
cool.
sequence. It's got that like typeface font, and it's
Yeah,
cutting.
like the girl who played his mom was awesome because she's like, "That's my son. Like you guys could have saved him, but you didn't." You know, so it's like giving us context.
Yeah.
This doesn't, justify what she
No.
did, but you know,
Still.
she's like, "You're the last one that I need to kill," or something. So you're aware that Mrs. Voorhees has already killed someone in this intro. You don't see it, but like she's about to kill the last counselor.
You don't know necessarily if it's happened the same way as it did in the
Correct.
first movie, but yeah.
And then
so it cuts to modern day.
Well, she kills
Mrs. Voorhees, and then Jason grabs a locket off of his mom's dead body, and also I guess grabs her head to use later.
And it's raining.
It's raining.
Very atmospheric.
Yeah. And he runs off with the locket, and then I think that's when we cut to modern day, right?
Yes, we have our first group of college kids.
Yes.
College kids. Who are going backpacking, camping at Camp Crystal Lake, or at Crystal Lake, or
they're there at Crystal Lake to find a rumored giant patch of weed to sell and make a fortune off of.
So that's the reason.
That's why they're out there.
Okay.
He has like a very 2009 like GPS device that he's using to locate the weed or something. I despise these characters deeply.
Oh, dude, it's literally like a minute in, and you fucking hate them.
Yeah.
I am more afraid to be eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Ooh, hey, you wanna slap that ass one more time for Daddy?
Daddy like that?
Yeah, Daddy does like it. Daddy likes it a lot.
The dialogue, the banter, every single thing. I'm just like,
and I know you're supposed to hate them.
I know, but it's like, it's true hatred.
Yes. I shouldn't feel this deep a hatred for these characters I just met. Even the actor I like, I hate him probably most of all out of all these characters. I hate the stupid nerdy like fifth wheel kid. I hate him.
Who's like stoked that he's the fifth wheel and that his friend is like having sex with his girlfriend. He's like super stoked about it.
There's a scene where like the girlfriend's behind him and she's like keeps taking her clothes off, and then he like turns around and she'll like cover herself
and he's like
up again.
stoked. He's like, "You guys go fuck."
He's like, "Oh, right." He's even more excited than they are. And then he goes off to pee.
Around the campfire, though, it is funny because the fifth wheel guy is it's like, "Oh, you know what? We're not that far from like Crystal Lake, I think. You haven't heard? He was like deformed or retarded or something." He calls Jason that.
It's 2009. It wasn't appropriate anymore.
And he's talking about it as the chick is like undressing, and they don't care about it. God, I hate those people so much.
So he tells the story of Jason, and he goes off to pee.
While they go to
Those
fuck.
two go to fuck, and then the other couple goes to look around the creepy woods in the middle of the night. And they stumble upon not the famous Voorhees house from Jason Goes to Hell, but a rundown, dilapidated shack.
Which is kind of like from part
two.
Yeah.
It's a lot more like that. And I had an
There's
issue
like
with
candles
this
lit
scene.
in there.
There's lights on, there's candles lit, and they see a bed that says Jason on it. And after hearing that story about Jason, whether I believe it or not, if I walk into that house and see that bed, I'm going home. I'm not going back to the campsite.
Yeah, it's creepy as hell.
So they find a head in the wall. Jason starts
Oh, and then
killing
weird.
them.
She's like, "Oh, she kind of looks like you, right?" The mom kind of looked like that.
Like the girl.
The girl.
Yeah. Who I think the only reason they included that is so she could do the Ginny from part 2 thing. So Jason kills the people of that couple's having really annoying sex. They're like saying stupid shit to each other. There's the fifth wheel guy who's like being really annoying when he's peeing.
He gets killed first.
He gets killed first. He finds the weed. And you know what I did like? Or something I thought would be stupid that didn't happen? I thought when Jason showed up, he was going to say some stupid line, like, I don't know, like, "Hey man, you got a pipe?" or something stupid.
Oh God, you scared the shit out of me, bro. Are you looking for this? Cause it completes your outfit.
Yeah.
And he just like he's terrified immediately.
Yeah, it's like believable how scared he is
Yeah.
that there's a fucking dude there.
Giant, creepy looking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that works for me.
He kills him.
He kills him.
And then we go back to the couple that were doing it in the tent, and then I just thought this was a funny line, how much we hate these people. But the guy finds that same bush of weed, and then he's talking about his friend. He's like, fucking jerk found the weed. What an asshole. Like, what?
It's like, yeah, he's probably going to tell you about it.
He was going to tell you about it. Why does that make him a jerk? You guys were having sex.
Yeah.
He had to leave. And why are you calling him an asshole?
Because they're all assholes.
Yeah, it's just weird.
They hate each other and
It's
themselves.
so weird.
They're the worst fucking people in the world.
Oh, and there's a bear trap.
Ooh! Well, that's right. Oh, that's brutal. So he starts going back to the campsite where he finds his girlfriend tied up in a sleeping bag on fire.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And he starts
hanging over the fire.
tied up, yeah.
In the sack, in the sleeping bag, like closed. She's like yelling in agony.
You can see her on the inside
Yeah,
trying to get out.
and he's like running to her, and like he steps on a bear trap
God.
that was set by Jason.
You see his leg in it. It's, oh boy, it's awesome.
He sees his girlfriend burned to death. Like, you see the body stop moving.
It falls out.
Yeah, it falls out.
And he's trying to get out of the bear trap, and then Jason runs up to him. He just machete.
Glad that one guy had a machete to the head.
Yeah, I'm glad too.
And I put, it actually feels like a horror movie.
Yes, unlike the last couple, which were comedies. Yeah.
And then it jumps to
6 weeks later. I
Wait,
believe.
we mentioned that the two people in the cabin were like killed.
Oh yeah, the girl
He's stabbing the floor, kills the dude.
That's a cool
Tells
scene.
her to run.
He's stabbing up the floor.
And then we jump, right?
Then we jump to 6 weeks later.
Okay.
Where we get Sam Winchester on a motorcycle is looking for his sister, who turns out to be the girl who we think died in the opening scene, but apparently Jason took her to his underground lair. And it kind of has echoes of that guy from part 4 who was like looking for his dead sister or something.
I put, God, I hate these people.
The other group of teenagers who we also hate.
Yeah.
I hate them less than the first group, but yes, I hate them too.
They're up there for me. He's got a Christmas shirt.
I thought that was so funny. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't
either.
get it at all. The guy, the main like douchebag, the blonde like chiseled jaw
leader.
guy, the lead asshole, who's Danielle Panabaker's boyfriend.
They're staying at his cabin at Crystal Lake that his parents own.
And I love that his whole thing is just being super high maintenance about like using coasters and stuff.
Yeah, he's like an asshole. He makes fun of his friends, degrades his girlfriend.
He doesn't like anyone. I have a very interesting piece of trivia about that character. His name is Trent. And as you mentioned, this movie was produced by Michael Bay. And that character, Trent, actually first appears in the Michael Bay Transformers movie, where he's Megan Fox's boyfriend, who's bullying Shia LaBeouf. So not only do we have Evil Dead and Freddy Krueger in this universe, but we also have Optimus Prime. So yeah, then we get like they start partying. One of the first things they do when they get to the cabin, Trent tells the guy from Party Down, hey, when you go to the lake, fill up my boat with gas. Here are the keys, but don't drive the boat. Don't drive the boat. Here are the keys, but don't drive it. And obviously he starts driving the boat. He even has a line where he's like, of course I'm going to drive the boat, because he's a douchebag too. They're all assholes.
Now what does that say about me? That the second that Trent said, don't take my boat out, it was guaranteed that I would.
When the supernatural guy is at the drugstore or whatever, the local store, I just want to mention that he is introduced also to the main chick.
Yes.
And it's like almost immediate that like she's interested in him, you know? She's like, oh, I'm sorry, he's like such a jerk or whatever. And then she asks about
the sister.
And then the douchebag's like, come on, babe, stop talking to that nerd and let's get in the car. And she does.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so there's already like a little thing going on there.
I mean,
yeah.
I see why she's into him. He's
driving a
hot
motorcycle.
and has a motorcycle, and he's like brooding.
Yeah.
Man.
He's kind of vulnerable.
Yeah. Sensitive. So those two are on the boat, and they're doing the wakeboarding. She takes off her top to do half naked wakeboarding, which seems like fun, honestly. And she flips off of the board, and when the guy from Party Down, he starts to turn the boat around to pick her up. Awesome kill. Just an arrow goes through his head out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and then he's
very
just
unexpected.
Like, yeah, that's a great
And
kill.
then she falls off the board, and she's just waiting in the lake for him to come pick her up.
She thinks he's coming on the boat, but then she realizes the boat's not stopping, and it hits her. She gets hit in the face by the boat,
which to me is one of the most brutal shots.
Yeah.
That's like worse than.
getting
Obviously, I'm not
murdered.
going to say worse than death, but it's
No,
like
seriously.
it looks so real and painful.
It's directed really well. How disorienting.
She gets hit, and like there's just blood in the water, and she's like, "How do you not have a concussion?"
She
or
probably
whatever.
does.
Yeah.
And she's super disoriented, she's panicking, and then she looks out onto the shoreline and she sees Jason standing there. Oh, we didn't mention the stupid scene where Jason gets his mask.
Yeah. So on that, I'm not
Jumping
sure how soon it was, but like we see his sack mask.
Yeah, he's got something that resembles the
which
sack.
I
from
thought
Part
was
2.
really cool.
I love that they started with
Yeah,
that.
looks very gritty. Yeah, he has it, and that's how he does his first kills.
So
and then he goes to the redneck.
The redneck. This scene happens before what we're talking about, so apologies.
He's knocking at the motorcycle guy's knocking at the house, and he says, "No, we haven't seen anything."
It's like,
and then he goes away.
I like this scene though because the redneck is like, "You want to buy some weed, man? I found a giant patch growing right back there."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, at that point you don't need to buy it. Just go over there and grab some. You know, don't tell him where the patch of weed is. And this guy's like a sex pervert. It turns out he likes to fuck mannequins or something.
Yeah, he's looking at porno too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very graphic porn.
He's in his basement smoking weed, looking at his porno. Jason slowly goes down the steps. And the redneck guy looks at him and he says, "That shit ain't fucking right, dude."
When he sees his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he had his hockey mask.
He had
laying
a
around.
hockey mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jason's like, hey.
He kills him
Don't
and
mind if I
then
do.
like he gets the mask, he puts it on, and he like falls in love with the mask.
Anyway, so then jumping back to the lake, she sees Jason in the woods, which is a super creepy shot. And she decides to start swimming away. She swims to the other side, and she's hiding underneath the dock.
Awesome.
Awesome, scary scene. You see him walking above her, and then you think she's safe, and then Machete comes down, lifts her up.
Oh my god.
Great shit.
Yeah, dude.
Excellent.
Brutal.
Yeah. And then Sam Winchester shows up, and he's like, hey, have you guys seen my sister? Wait a minute, it's you guys. And so he's like, I'm going to go check out the other side of the lake. And Trent's like, get the fuck out of my house. And Danielle Panabaker's like, you know, I'll come with you, actually. And so they end up at the old camp, I think.
I think so. They're searching for the sister. They spend more time together. They start to fall for each other.
They do.
Pretty
And I think
early.
Crystal Lake in this movie is bigger than it's ever been, but that doesn't matter. I think we also then we cut back to Jason's lair, where the sister, it turns out, is still alive.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of booby traps and lights.
Yeah, he's got lights, he's got alarm
like
systems.
detectors.
He's really set up. He's actually pretty intelligent, this Jason. And apparently they included that like tunnel network to kind of explain how he can get from place to place without teleporting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He thinks the dude's sister is his mom.
Yeah.
That's why he hasn't killed her. So he has her captive. Yeah.
Common Jason theme.
Yeah.
Jason, Mother is talking to you!
So now we're pretty deep into the movie. You know, our main guy, supernatural guys with the main chick, and it is nighttime.
Yep.
Like you said, Jason can think,
Yeah.
or you know, he does a lot more. He's planning and stuff. So he turns the power off.
Right.
And then people start getting picked one by one.
Well, they're partying for a while.
Before
Jason cuts the power. That's when Trent starts cheating on his girlfriend with the other girl.
Correct.
In the most graphic sex scene I've ever seen, where he has some incredible lines. I've written them down here if you want to hear them.
Your tits are stupendous. Your tits are just so juicy, dude.
You got perfect nipple placement, baby.
These would win in a titty contest.
He's also recording this. They're making
Oh yeah, they're
sex
filming
tape.
it for some, even though he's cheating on his
And
girlfriend.
he's like, This better not go online.
Yeah. Why are you filming it then? So while they're doing that, the sister has escaped, and she's about to run up to the window. She sees them having sex and runs up to the window, but then gets snagged by Jason.
The sister?
Yeah, the sister has escaped the
Oh,
lair.
wow, okay.
But then she gets recaptured by Jason.
And then the Asian guy goes to the little boat house.
He breaks a chair by burning his lip and falling, and then...
Oh, we're kind of fucking up the order of things.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
The girl that Trent is hooking up with, a little before that hookup, she's like the slutty one. She sees the Asian guy, and she's like dancing really seductively, and like it's just two guys just staring at her, and then she goes like this, and then like she pours a shot with fire and lights it on fire, and then like he's like about to take the shot, but he burns himself and then breaks the chair, and then Trent gets super pissed. You gotta fix it. It's a family heirloom. Go check in the shed for something.
But that's so stupid to me because they're wasted, and he's like, right now, go out to the shed, get some tools, and fix this chair right now.
And he's like, okay, I'm gonna go fuck her, but this chair better be. And then that.
Yeah. Also, they never address that Trent cheated on his girlfriend. Like, that's not a thing. Even then, she's like knocking on their door, and she's like, "Are you guys fucking in there?"
She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. I guess because she knows he's a douche. So. And we get a dope kill from the Asian guy in the shed, and then when his friend goes out to find him,
the black guy goes outside, and I said, "Would you go out there by yourself to find your friend after they just said there's a killer?"
It's supposed to be cliche.
And Jason is pretty good at axe throwing.
Yeah, that's such a cool kill.
Yeah,
throwing the axe at him like that.
He's like sprinting, and he's like about to get away, but he doesn't, and he doesn't kill him immediately. He's like whining out there, whimpering, right? And then one of the guys is supposed to go out there, and he says, no, he's just trying to lure you.
Yeah, and he was right, which is, again, Jason's a lot smarter in this one.
And I know you said he doesn't teleport, but then he teleports to the roof.
The roof, yes, he does. He very much does. And so Trent has a gun, and Sam Winchester's like, hey, give me the gun, because you're an unstable psychopath. And then he starts like shooting at every noise he hears in the house. And then he runs out into the street and flags down a truck. Trent does. And
then it's kind of weird because it's like a weird fake out thing where like they're in the street and there's a ominous truck, old school truck that like they're here and the truck stops like over here.
Yeah.
And they're asking for help and the truck driver's not moving.
It's very suspicious for some reason.
Yeah, and then they walk slowly and it's an old man.
It's just a guy.
It's just a guy.
I was so sure it was going to be Matthew McConaughey for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4.
You don't know what the hell you're doing.
I thought it was going to be Jason and he was just going to kill him, but it was an old man.
The guy was actually trying to help.
I'll help you. And then
Jason shows up, impales him on the tow truck, and then the guy drives away with Trent like flailing on the back of his truck.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal death.
So then the only ones that are left are Sam Winchester and Danielle Panabaker, who find their way down to Jason's lair and find the sister is still alive.
And then I just have to mention breaks through the window. I'm not sure when it happened, but I know.
So yeah, the movie's wrapping up. They find the sister, and they start to escape Jason's lair. And as they're almost out, pretty shocking kill actually, Danielle Panabaker gets killed, who is very much like a final girl type. So
yeah,
I was very shocked that she died. And then they end up in the barn, the redneck's barn from earlier, and they have a fight with Jason. I think he does jump through the window in this scene.
Okay.
And then they put him in the wood chipper. She has a line that's a really good line, but then it's completely ruined by the second half of the line.
Jason! Say hi to Mommy!
I'm like, yeah, that's an awesome line. And then she goes, in hell! And I'm like, oh, God, terrible.
Say hi to Mommy. In hell!
Like, just leave it at say hi to mommy. We know what you mean by that. It's a good line. Say hi to mommy. That's great. Leave it there. And then the sun starts coming up, and they sit out on the dock.
The pretty music starts playing.
The calm music.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's going to happen. Boom.
End
That's
of movie.
that. End of movie. End of franchise.
Yeah, in end of franchise is right, because that came out in 2009 and we're in 2023 and
almost 15 years.
There's nothing. It's the longest gap, right?
Yeah, longest gap.
And it's weird because obviously there's not like a huge demand. It's us nerds that want it, but it's a movie rights that they own, and I don't know. I feel like it could be done in the right hands, but at this point, what do you think is next, man? Like, I heard about A24 trying to make a prequel to it, but they didn't have the rights to, like,
I think you mentioned that in one of our videos.
Yeah, and
the Pamela Voorhees prequel.
Yeah, so at this point in time, would they have to make another reboot?
Yes.
It's like you can't make a sequel off that, right?
It doesn't matter. None of these are sequel. Like, they're all reboots. Every movie is its own thing. So,
but at least like in 3 or 4, there's some loose like tie.
They get less and less connected.
They get less and less connected, but like there is something there. Like Tommy, for example, that's like a continuation arc.
Right.
He's our main character for at least these. So I'm like
3 or 4 movies.
It's like they restarted it, but now it's been more than 10 years. So like, what happens now?
Well, we saw those Halloween
serious
movies.
talk.
Yeah, no, serious talk. Those Halloween movies that trilogy just wrapped up last year, those were super successful.
I would love to talk about those too.
Yeah, I would too.
I enjoyed them.
Some of the Halloween movies are awful, but maybe we'll talk about those at some point. But those were super successful. And like big name kind of franchises, the new Scream movies are really successful right now.
They're making a lot of money.
Yeah,
I've never seen them, but they're like in part 7 or something.
The next one is 7. Yeah, 7's coming out next year.
And like people watch them.
I watch them. They're great.
Yeah,
they're still good. Hot take: there has never been a bad Scream movie. They're all good. That's my opinion.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, I think there's a market for this. How would you do it? I don't know, because they're less classy than like a Halloween or something. They're a little sleazier.
Trailer trash.
Yeah.
It's really bad. In a fun way, obviously.
Oh yeah,
we enjoy
in a way
it.
that we love.
But I don't know. At this point, is like campy doesn't seem to be a thing. Like comedic.
Yeah.
At least for these movies, there's comedic elements, but like, do you fucking get a good director to make it serious?
A good director? Would you waste a good director on one of... Like, would you actually try to make a good movie? I guess that's the question we're asking. Like, would you try to make another, like, cheesy slasher, or would you actually try to make a real movie?
I don't know.
With characters and, like, a plot.
Because, that whole TV show idea, I'm like... Would that work? Because then it wouldn't be about Jason.
I don't want that.
It would be about the counselors and stuff.
Well, there's already been a Friday the 13th TV series that also wasn't about Jason.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a Freddy series that does have Freddy sometimes.
That's cool.
Apparently Jason never appeared once in the Friday the 13th TV series.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, who knows what the future holds? I mean... It's safe to say we obviously want another one.
Yeah, I'd love more of these.
Even if it sucks.
Even if it sucks.
We don't want it to suck. But like, that whole idea of throwing them in a new element, I think is out of the picture.
Maybe it doesn't have to be a cabin in the woods though. Maybe it could be like the desert. I don't know.
But then it's like you have to explain. Like is it 2 generations now of like, or at least 1 generation of like kids and people that don't know or don't care about Friday the 13th?
I mean, this movie I think was not successful, And I remember when this came out too, and nobody talked about it.
Yeah, which is a shame because it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad at all. It was maybe a little. Should we give him a shake?
Yeah.
Yes. For me, this is an easy 4. I think this is top tier Friday the 13th. It obviously doesn't have that 80s feeling that I kind of like from a Friday movie, but other than that, I think it nails pretty much everything. Maybe a little too serious, just like 8% too serious totally, but I think it was a slam dunk. 4 out of 5.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, it felt like a horror movie.
Yes.
And it's like, there's potential there to keep this shit going.
Yeah, long ass video. These 4 movies were much more the best ones, sure.
Yeah.
Much plot heavier than the others. That's why we talked so much.
Took them diabetes.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little thing with the 2 of us. Like I said, there will probably be more videos with just 2 people, not always the 2 of us.
But you can count on us for the horror
We're
stuff.
the horror guys.
Yeah.
The horror corner. The horror
wars.
So yeah, next Halloween we'll do another franchise.
Yeah. Or who knows, maybe even before that.
Yeah. We'll definitely be talking more horror movies before that.
Oh yeah, we've got a couple in mind right now.
Oh boy, do we.
Yep.
We have some ideas to talk about, like horror classics and comparing them to their remakes, fun stuff like that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah, thanks for watching us for 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah. Thanks for watch part 1 and part 2 if you haven't.
Yeah.
I'm sick of Jason.
I'm glad this shit's done.
I'm glad to be done with this too.
Yeah.
I've
I'm
never.
glad we ended on this note.
I think we put too much brain power. Like these movies, we put more brain power into these movies than they deserve.
Way more.
I've never paid this much attention to these movies.
No, it was boring.
Yes.
It was fucking boring.
But it was fun to do this talk.
Totally.
I hope the videos were fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.